I was like, oh, okay, I got a Wii U. It wasn't that, it came out in 2012. It's basically the same technology as we have today, right? It's just like it's the packaging and the marketing, as we've always talked about. So I'm like, I must have enough storage on this thing to download, because they actually haven't shut down the Wii U store yet.
Yeah.
So I was like, I must have enough storage on this thing to download fucking Yoshi's Woolly World. I realized it comes with like 8 gig and it's non-expandable.
No, and you could like only put like a 32 gigabyte card in there.
Yeah, well, no, you can't put in there's no SD card slot whatsoever.
Oh, right. Yeah.
You can put a hard drive on it.
Wow.
Like a small hard drive that will dangle off of it. They won't even support like thumb drives or anything. It's just totally, it's not made for digital downloads. And for that matter, I want to expand on this a little bit. In a world that keeps insisting that we've now moved completely to digital games, and that we don't need, brick and mortar or physical copies of games. Like, well, then why the fuck is in a world of Game Pass with Xbox and everything, it's like, why are the hard drives still so tiny and so expensive to expand and so inconvenient to expand? Like, it's not like, hey, no big deal, for like $50 you can like double it or something. It's not like that. It's like, no, sorry, if you want to double the storage, it's going to be like the cost of a second Xbox.
Yeah, that's true.
Or you couldn't, the one that I find most egregious is I think it's the new Xbox branding is very confusing, but I think there's one called the Xbox Series S.
Yeah, I haven't followed Xbox in a while. I got confused by Xbox One.
Right.
Because I was like, is that a remake of the first Xbox? And
that's already like far less confusing than where they would go with it next. But because there was like the Xbox One S, which now it's the Xbox Series S. Anyway, it gets very confusing. And then there's the Xbox Series X. But
that's why I kind of appreciate Sony PlayStation for being like, it's 4, now it's 5.
Yeah, PlayStation 5, and then the next one is PlayStation Balboa, and then we're out, and then we can start. Like the Xbox, there's a version of the Xbox that is, I think, $300. It's their cheapest model, and it's got a pretty puny hard drive. And the whole thing is that it doesn't have an optical drive. So you can't buy physical games for it. You have to buy digital, and it's got a non-expandable small hard drive.
Yeah. It's this PlayStation has that too, where they have 2 versions. They have one with the disc and one without the disc.
So like, I'm sorry, is storage expensive? Storage is not expensive. Like they must have figured this out, that they're maximizing profit in some way. But I think with their Game Pass and with their backwards compatibility and with never buy just buy it direct from the manufacturer, and it's just like, could you give people more storage, please? Like give them an abundance of storage so it's never an issue, or run the game off the cloud. But I don't think we're there yet.
No, we're not there, because there's always issues with that.
Yeah, very frustrating. So what did I do, EJ? I bought a physical copy of Yoshi's Woolly World off of eBay for $15.
Wow.
And it felt good. It felt like I'm buying a used video game, and I'm putting the video game into a system that I still own, that the internet will not in any way prohibit me from being able to play. The whole thing felt very, very, a real throwback.
Yeah, I think every Wii U game I had was physical. There might have been one or two where I bought digital because they were like on sale or something, but
but I think my unit came with a digital only version of Wind Waker HD.
Yeah, me too. I have a Wind Waker HD.
They got to re-release that for Switch.
Yeah, that and Twilight Princess, and I'm surprised that they didn't do a Mario, like a Zelda 3D All-Stars, and just did all 3 of those with Skyward Sword.
Why not?
It's just they're random. It's random what Nintendo does. It's like, okay, we're gonna do all 3 of the Mario games, but only for a certain amount of time we'll release them digitally, which doesn't make sense. And then
I was thinking the other day about, because I get it to some degree. There's like in the in the context of decades, which is the context that I think they're trying to play in to some degree, you've got to keep the value of Mario 3 as high as you can, or like each of these games. And I was just thinking about the other day, it's not really like realistic in any way to think of it in these terms. But imagine for a moment if you really couldn't play Mario 3, let's say, any other way than with the cartridge. Let's say there really was no software solution or software re-release for this stuff. It would be outrageously valuable.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so then it's like, okay, well then the virtual console and digital re-releases, is that what's driving the value down? I don't really think so, because those have their shelf lives too. So then it's like, well, how much is illegal emulation? As I sit here next to this arcade machine, how much is illegal emulation really driving value of retro games down? Probably, I have to imagine it's a lot. Like, because nobody's afraid of. It's like Little Samson for NES. That's the one that goes for thousands. It's like everybody can play it. There's no issue. There's no if you decided you wanted to play it, there's no problem. You'll get to play it. Not true of Yoshi's Woolly World. I have to hunt that down.
In a way, it's almost necessary, because some of these games you can't get any because the Wii U shop or the Wii shop is gone.
Right.
You can't get some of these games. There's some really great games that are like locked on that system. Like there was like a Castlevania Rebirth, which was like, it was Castlevania The Adventure Rebirth, which was a remake of the Game Boy Castlevania, but it was only released on the Wii as a WiiWare game. And it's like, you can't get that anymore.
Yeah.
So the only way you can get it is through the homebrew channel and like pirating it, basically.
And now you have to consider that, like, someday, like, so I have a Switch and it's loaded up with digital games that I've bought, and it's loaded up as much as it is because I have a really big SD card in there. And someday that store is going to shut down. I will not be able to re-download those games, as many PlayStation Store people are currently experiencing for Vita and PSP and PS3. Yeah. I think all that stuff is shutting down. So there's a real blitz of like, download it while you can type stuff going on right now. Well, I keep seeing YouTube videos. They're like, download these 10 games before you can never again or something. But yeah, maybe I should feel secure if, like, well, at least this Switch, if this Switch doesn't break, then I'm good. But it's like, no, they're all on that SD card you bought off of Amazon. And like, if like power gets yanked from it and that whole thing gets corrupted, you've lost, like, I don't know, $1,000 in games or whatever it is.
Well, I had, because the Wii, you could store your games, the WiiWare games, on an SD card.
Yeah. I
had a SD card fail on me. And like, if it fails on me now, I would have to do a homebrew thing.
Right.
But because I failed on me, and then I got a new SD card and I re-downloaded all the games when the shop was there. But now, yeah, if that one fails, then I'm out of luck.
It seems to me they've got to figure out a way to be like, it seems like Microsoft is the most interested in making it so that if you buy their newest system, you can find fairly convenient ways to pull forward your back catalog. Nintendo's that would be really wise of Nintendo to be like, look, if you're gonna come to our digital store and download something and you've done it under a Nintendo account, we're gonna migrate you. We'll migrate your content to the next store.
I think they'd be smart, especially like, let's just say the Switch successor is just a Switch that's more powerful. I think that would be very smart to do that, where it's just like, because the Switch, I feel like is good. It's like that's like Nintendo's thing.
The Switch is great. I keep hearing that companies determine that while, like, a lot of gamers say that backwards compatibility is important to them, that it doesn't prove out that they're really going out of their way to make, like, they're not making their decision based on backwards compatibility in general. And so they don't really invest in it. At best, they'll provide a lot of support for the previous one. So Wii provided a ton of support for GameCube. Wii U is a ton of support for Wii. Switch cut it off and was like, we're a brand new thing, but we're going to port everything. You can rebuy everything on this new platform. So we're going to be kind of like we're going to be like friendly to our back catalog, but you have to buy it. But I feel like that was an easier sell because suddenly you were in the handheld world and it was like to play it on the Switch should come at a premium probably. That feels fair.
The Switch tax.
Yeah, there's a Switch tax. But I don't know. At some point, it's like these digital downloads and these digital purchases, I think they've got to help people feel like they've protected their investments.
Yeah, I think there is like a thing where people just don't like, even though like people like us want to play our old games, but there are some people who just want to play new games. They never want to play old
They
games.
don't go backwards. Yeah.
It's like a weird thing. It's like if you never watch an old movie or something, which some people don't.
I heard something about like the president of the PlayStation division at Sony he said something like, well, if you go back and look at some of those PS3 games, they're pretty shitty. So fuck them. Like just let them ride. It was like, holy crap! Like basically saying like, let none of us pay much regard toward preserving anything.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I mean, I definitely appreciate because you always want to preserve the stuff that
right.